Okay, so this kind of interface is roughly going to describe my week and give me a sense of the sort of thing that I want to be doing, and we can see that I've actually got well into the time that I should have spent working from home on lecture recordings, and I haven't started on that at all. I've been making this video instead, so I'm going to drag that forward, shrink that down a little bit, and I'm actually going to right click on that, and I am going to duplicate this event. I'm just going to click save, and I'm going to move a portion of that to tomorrow so that I can keep on working on it then. You know, so that's quite a good way of organizing my time, but I think you don't want too much text in these boxes. You don't want it to be too busy with information. Ideally, it just needs to be a heading of the sort of thing that you're working on and the amount of time it's going to take you. So you might want to investigate a more robust way of actually managing and breaking down these particular calendar events into different types of tasks. Now, there is a task interface within Outlook. One way that you can look at it is quickly just to go up to the top right hand corner of the screen and click on this little button here, and we can see that we can add tasks into our Outlook account now. But instead, I'm actually just going to go down and click on the three little dots here and choose tasks from here, because this gives you an interface called Microsoft To Do, and there is a separate app that you can download for Microsoft To Do. Now, these tasks are still visible in your calendar view, but this might be a good place to start thinking about defining your tasks and breaking them down. So this is one way of managing your time. I'm going to show you two different ways, and you can choose which one you prefer. The first one is this tasks interface. So for instance, I've got my day, important and planned. And to show how these work, if I click on tasks, which should show me everything, I can start adding in tasks. So I'm going to click here and I'm going to put in revise for exam A. Okay, and now if I add this, I've got the option to mark it off if I've completed it. Or if I want to mark it as important, I can click on this little star and see now we get a 1 in important. So clicking on important is just going to show me all the tasks from my task list that I have starred. I could add in another task now. Work through lecture recording B. I'm going to add that, and if I click onto this, I get more detail on the right hand side, and I can do something like add this to my day. And the idea with that is that if you click on my day here, it's just showing you the tasks which you have assigned to yourself from potentially quite a long list that you're going to try and complete today. Again, back into tasks. Additionally, I could add a new one in here. Draft my essay. I'm going to add that, and again, if I click on it, I can actually add a due date here. So I could either set it up for the next few days, or I could pick a date that I want Outlook to actually remind me that it is due. And if I click on that and click on save, we have a date that we can see here, and I can filter tasks with a due date under planned. So you've got these different ways of categorizing and organizing your tasks, which you can just tick off as you click on them, and we get that cheery little sound coming up. Now, if we wanted to take this down to another level, we could click on draft my essay, and then we could add steps into here. So we might start with read, research, paper A, add that as a task, make sure references are to hand. There we go, we can add that. And if we wanted to make sure that we were supported with reading this research paper, we could actually go down to add a file and choose a file from our computer. And I've actually gone into OneDrive on my computer. If you're on a Windows PC, you should be able to log into this OneDrive. It should be automatically installed on your computer. For Mac users, you may have to install an app separately. But if you log in with your university credentials, you just get this folder on your computer, and everything that you put inside it is automatically being uploaded to your online OneDrive space. We can see they're uploaded because they've got the green tick there. Now, I'm not going to discuss OneDrive too much at this point. Really, all I wanted to show you is that if you've got a file on your computer, wherever it's stored, you can click on it and upload it to your calendar. I'm going to click on open, and now I've got the article which I can click on to load, which is going to help me tick off these particular steps as I work through them. Now, to add even another layer of detail, you can create things called lists. So if I start a new list and I call it Module A, then within this, I can add tasks. And remember, tasks are the things that we've defined in here. So you can have a whole set of different lists which might have sub-lists inside it. Now, some people love that way of working. Other people might find that a little bit overwhelming. But see, now these work as tasks in exactly the same way. So for Module A, I might need to download lecture slides. And again, if I click on that, I've got the opportunity to add steps and filter these particular tasks in all the different ways that we have looked at so far. Now, when I'm back in the calendar view, you'll notice that you have got quick access to those tasks by clicking here. So here we can see that this draft of my essay actually appears in here, and I can actually see the ones that I've recently completed as well. And if you quickly want to go to the other screen, you have got manage all tasks down the bottom, and that will simply open up that to-do interface that we saw earlier on. There we go. So that's one way that you can manage tasks and have easy access to those particular tasks in Outlook. I'm going to show you a different way of working. Now, some people really like that tasks interface. I think it's really good. I think it offers you a lot of functionality for managing large, complex tasks. The only thing I would say is that if you prefer to do all of this time management in your calendar, there is a different way that you can manage your time. I personally tend to do the following. I go in and create a calendar event. I might say that the general thing that I'm going to be doing here is drafting my essay. And remember, because we've gone in and we have added color codes to these, again, I could probably move this, so I'm going to categorize this as can move. So I could pick this up and move this to another day. What we have now is an interface where you can look at your entire work week and make decisions based on color. So if your entire week is this color, which is the color we've assigned to, you can't move it, then you know you're not really going to be able to fit in additional tasks that week. Whereas we can quickly see that this is something that we can move around to different days. Now, if we double click on this, and I can go into edit, and I can click into this description box, and I could choose some bullet points if I wanted to add in different tasks. So I can put my tasks in here now. You know, pretty much the steps that we defined in the task interface earlier on. But the difference here is that all these different bullet points are going to be contained within this calendar event. And what I like about that way of working is that if you've defined a 3-hour period to get on and do a particular task and you've given it a simple title, and then at the weekend when you've been thinking about all the things you need to do, this is where you've gone into the description and actually organized all the different steps. That can work just as well as the task list. And of course, we can go in and set reminders in exactly the same way. And rather than using the My Day filter, you would just be thinking about where you're going to fit all these particular tasks in during your week. Additionally, we can add attachments to this calendar event in much the same way we did in the tasks interface. So if I click on this, you actually have the option to browse from either your computer or something that you don't get in the other interface, browse from cloud locations. So whereas I just added a file directly from the computer that happened to be in my OneDrive in the last example, this time I'm imagining that I am accessing my calendar on a different computer. And maybe what I've done is downloaded several articles, stored them in my OneDrive at home, and now I'm doing a bit of planning and organising because I've got half an hour to spare at university. So the advantage is anything that had gone into my OneDrive account will be accessible here as well. So if I click on this and I go into my OneDrive and I go into Documents, then I've got this online version of the document that I'd put into my OneDrive on my computer earlier on. This is the great thing about these kind of cloud services. You don't have to remember to actually upload something. As long as you place it in the OneDrive folder that is on your computer because you've installed the OneDrive app on your computer at home. That means all of these documents are going to be available in your cloud drive automatically. So I'm going to click on next now, and what that means is that that is now contained within this particular calendar event. I can save it, and if I think I'm not going to get around to doing this today, I can move it to the weekend, and all the steps and attachments are actually embedded inside that calendar event. So there's a couple of different ways of working there, and I think one way isn't necessarily better than the other. It just depends on which you find more appealing and comfortable to work with. Some people are going to love the lists interface in tasks. Other people might like the idea of having a short title for the container in which all of your steps are stored that you then drill down into to see all the different things that you've written about and any attachments that you need to complete that particular task.